From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer. It is Episode 9, Season 6, Episode 9. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, along with my lovely, I call him my Mr. Vanna White. He is Coach Papo Socceritis himself, fresh off of San Antonio FC home match. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Little sore.
Little sore. Banging the drum all night or what?
Banging the drums, putting up with all the tifos and taking them down, and lots of work, but it was worth it.
How old are we that we get sore from putting up tifos? It wears you out that much?
Yeah, because we got some new ones in, so we had to kind of rearrange some things, and finally we got it together, and then just to take down back up and down, but we got done. But it was worth it. It was a good win over New Mexico, so we're still, like I said, on the top three for for the USL Western Conference.
Good deal. Hey, I know we were talking, and I told you I completely forgot about the match. I was entrenched in watching film, right? Doing my due diligence, watching film, and then also taking a break from that and watching a little bit of March Madness. So, but it's time to shift. We're going to talk about the real March Madness, right? That is the state tournament, Texas High School Soccer. So we're excited. Great show. We got got some special guests joining us. By District Chaos, we're going to talk about area round matchup spotlight, and then also our new list, the underrated list. So excited about all of that. Here we go. As usual, pure nonsense out of Coach Heyman himself, Mr. Blue Blazer. Thank you for joining us, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, man, excited. Great stuff. But before we dive into any of that and bring on our first guest of the day, we want to tell you that this show, all right, we want to tell you about our great partner, our great title sponsor in Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. So this episode is brought to you by our proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, the go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move, I got your 6 approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and all of the details. Details is the key component. That's what separates her from the others, right? That attention to detail. Being a longtime military veteran or retiree, that's what she does. That's the separator, right? So in addition to just great customer service and doing her due diligence and research, you owe it to look her up. So if you want a realtor who works like you and fights for you, then you need to visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free, no pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right, brother. So besides banging the drum last night, what's new? What's going on?
I was in Laredo for, like I said, I did part of bracketology in Laredo, and then recruiting out there. I actually got to go see an U.S. Open Cup game between Laredo Heat and El Paso Loco. I was kind of cheering on for Laredo, try to get the cup set, but they fell short. But just some little trash talking with Loco.
That's what you get for cheering against El Paso. I'm just telling you, that's what you get.
Kept reminding them that SAFC are their daddy. We still have the Copa Tejas, which I have in my position.
Dude, all those players are new. None of them. They don't care. They're all new. That whole roster. No Danny Rojas. The Danny Rojas spotting. Right? No.
So I think that's why the game was sold out.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was sold out. Yeah. So I think they were anticipating that he was going to be there, but I guess he wasn't signed. So, but it was still fun. It was still a fun match to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I guess some due diligence on both El Paso Locomotive and Laredo Heat to not say anything, right, and let the ticket sell. So interesting marketing ploy there. So awesome. Well, hey, again, special guests. We're ready to bring our first guest on momentarily. We're excited. We got a great episode today. So we're going to try to stay out of Joe Rogan territory, try to stay under 2 hours. So, Rafa, you ready, brother?
All right, there we go.
Yeah. All right, let me do the honors, the energy drink, right? Get us going here. Salud. All right, and that said, nothing like taking a drink on the microphone. Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and bring in our first guest, I should say, of the show. He is the head women's soccer coach of the Midland. Almost slipped up and said Midland Lee. It's not official yet, but the Midland Legacy Lady Rebels, right? Coach Carlos Ruiz. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Good, and yourself?
Great, brother. Great to have you here. Thank you for being here. We've had the chance to have a few conversations, and really excited to have you here and talk to us about just the season that has been, the by district matchup that was. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about talk about your program, talk about your girls, but then also talk about you getting ready for your area round matchup versus Mansfield Lake Ridge. So yeah, I mean, tell us before we dive into all of that, just what's going on.
And right now, just enjoying the weekend. Coming off a high, winning that by district match. In overtime in an El Paso atmosphere. Ironically, right? Like I lived in El Paso for a little while in junior
Yeah,
high, and there's nothing like an El Paso atmosphere when it comes to soccer. And believe me, the fans brought it. The noise, the chanting,
yeah.
you know, um, I would say for the fan side, a missed call on the ref, but it just that atmosphere, everyone chanting, everyone cheering, the aluminum stands, everyone banging their feet, and it was a great thing to experience. And it was a new atmosphere, it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So was it now Midland, Midland Legacy has played there before. You're very familiar with the El Paso area. Just you knew what to expect. So what did you share with your girls in anticipation of that by district matchup traveling to Franklin? How much experience was there from maybe past matches there versus what to expect? What did you share with them?
I'll tell you the truth. So this is my fourth year. The only time I really go to El Paso is for that first day of scrimmages. You
Thought you were
know,
gonna say Chicos Tacos, man, just like Rafa, Chicos
Man,
Tacos.
I'll tell you, I've never had them fresh. I've always had them. Even when I lived
Frozen?
there, I didn't have them. I've always our family, from here, we have family in El Paso, and they'll go get Chicos tacos, and they'll always bring them back, and they're always cold. So I've never had them, straight from the kitchen, as you would say. But
It's just not, unfortunately, it's just not what it used to be. Growing up, it's somewhere in there. It changed in, I don't know, the last 15 years or so. They changed the sauce, they changed the cheese, everything. It's different. So unfortunately. Yeah, and if you ask anybody, if you ask any El Paso, El Paso and any El Paso native, they'll tell you the same thing.
right,
Yeah.
but for sure, we didn't talk about Chicos tacos. We we um Man, preparing for the by district match, we really focus on what we did best. What was it? We Our last district game was Tuesday, so we found out Wednesday night or Wednesday who we were going to play. So we prepped a little bit. We were in spring break mode, and that's a tough situation to manage spring break.
Right,
Some
right.
people, go out of town. Some people are in town. The mindset's a little off. The heat. It's pool season. And unfortunately, we've had the trend that where we don't play past spring break. But this year, we're fortunate that we did enough that we've been allowed to play after spring break. So um,
Yeah.
it's been a great experience.
So what was your philosophy handling spring break, knowing that with the playoffs coming up and whatnot? How did you tackle that? What was the plan going into before you knew where you were going because you knew you were going to qualify at a certain point, right? So what was the philosophy there? How did you handle that? And why I ask that is because I know every coach around the state of Texas that's listening or will listen to this is going to kind of be like, okay, that's a way I didn't think about before, or maybe that's a way I need to consider. And I also ask you this because I had two conversations yesterday with coaches in different parts of the state, and they asked me about how I handled my spring break.
I took it as, and we got to have fun. So we practice a little bit, after that Tuesday of our final district game. But the next two sessions we had were totally fun. We play a long season. We sacrifice our the 2 weeks over Christmas. So the week of Christmas, the week of New Year's. And then we also play over spring break. So at some point, the training, the showing up, it gets wary, so the big thing I've been doing is just making sure everything's fun. We start practice with fun, non-traditional activities, things that, man, when I was an elementary PE teacher, activities that we I did with elementary kids, and I let the kids be silly, and that's a big part of getting out of just the rhythm, the long season, and making sure that we're still having fun as much as this is crunch season. It's win or go home. And we're still working with kids, and as an adult I love having fun, and I got to ensure that my kids are having fun and they love coming back out to practice on a daily basis.
Great points, man. Well said. Well said. And I try to make it a point to do that as much as possible. Some days it's easier than others, and then some days I kind of ask myself, what was I thinking introducing this? Because then the training session, as you know, gets away from you never get it back.
Yes, you're right.
So yeah, so we've all been there. But yeah, great stuff. So tell us. So you finished District 2-6A, finished second overall behind Friendship. Before we dive into the playoffs, tell us just down the stretch how did 2-6A play out in terms of what you expected versus the reality, and how did that prepare you for Franklin?
So we actually finished third. Max Preps doesn't account for the points on the ties.
Oh, the points on the okay.
Yeah, so we finished 2 points behind Permian,
Behind Permian.
with 18 points. Permian finished with 20, and if I'm correct, Friendship finished with 24. Um, how do we prepare for the by district game against Franklin? Well, I'll tell you, my district prepared me, man. There's girls on every team that gave us a look, and they all gave us different looks. And collectively, we had to adjust every single game. We didn't start off where we needed to coming into district. The first four games we dropped, all but 1 point, because we do the 3-2-1 on our point system, but we figured it out and we took wins in the last 6 games, and we've continued that into the by district. So I'll tell you, Friendship has a forward in Lily Stone. Permian played Zeta, not Zeta, I'm sorry, that's Permian. Haley, she's a UTEP commit. She plays in the center mid. Sometimes she'll play high. Midland High has a young lady named Addie Hahn that plays high, or she'll play in the middle. And I mean, and as well as their support staff around them. And so just our district games, they've prepared us for the by district, our tournament season. I'm a big believer in signing up and going to go find the competition. I'm not opposed to going to go get punched in the face. In other words, I mean, we've played some tough teams in the tournament season,
It's a great way of
and
putting it, man. I think I'm
yeah.
going to use that one. Yeah, I
Oh,
love that.
don't
Yeah.
worry. We've been punched in the face a few times,
Oh, you and I both.
and
You and I both. Trust me. Yeah, that's why I said I
yeah.
might use that one. I like that. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in that as well, Coach. I love to hear that, though. Rafa?
Yeah, Coach. Actually, I was at your game back in February against Permian on that shootout on that chilly night.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah, you should have called me. I would have taken you to
Ask him what
Roses.
shirt. Coach, ask him what shirt he was wearing that night, though. Ask him.
Oh,
I'm
I
kind of
bet I
curious.
bet it was black.
I'm kind of
How,
curious. I'm
no,
kind of
I
curious.
actually had a red shirt on because
You
it
had
was
a
cold.
red
I had
shirt.
had a actually had a SAFC jacket on. So,
Uh-huh.
but
Oh,
actually, I've gone to both the games this year and then last year too when you guys hosted a Permian. I think that it started to sleet that game. Because you guys played in the second half, the second game of that doubleheader. Like I said, but great, like I said, great program, great talent there. Now going to the playoffs? How do the girls feel as far as preparing against a team like Franklin? How do the girls feel about that?
so man, this is my fourth year, and this is the first time I've made the playoffs as a head coach. It was actually 4 years ago. The coach before me, in 21, he made the playoffs. It's been a long time since this program has made a playoff, and even won a playoff game. So the girls are excited. The community is excited. I mean, I'm excited. It helps that we found success, and that we're moving in the right direction. So the girls are excited. No one, I'm not going to sit here and say we have playoff experience, because we don't. We truly don't. So we're taking it one day at a time. before the game started on Friday, we talked about it. 40 minutes at a time. We'll focus on the first 40, make adjustments at halftime, and go to the next 40. And ironically, we got an extra two halves because we had to go into overtime. But it's great. The girls are great. They're resilient. We make immediate game time adjustments, things that we've never really practiced and gone over, and they adjust well. And the girls are awesome.
Yeah, whatever you do, coach, don't give Rafa a shirt, man, because then he'll wear it and then he'll be on here and he'll pick against you. So just saying. So just saying.
Oh
So
no, no, don't worry. I saw the brachiology thing, and
oh, did you see
uh,
last year? Did you see?
I
Oh, that was
did. I did
that was
watch it, and Hector,
epic
thanks for the shout out. And I told my girls about it, and my girls were like, "Hey, make sure you tell those guys that they voted wrong."
content. Yeah, so we transition here. We talk about a little bit more about your actual by district matchup in El Paso versus Franklin. Franklin, great squad, well coached squad, 1-6A champion. You talked about handling it, taking it 40-minute, right? 1 40-minute half at a time. Rightfully so. I think every coach, we always preach that. But somewhere along the way, as the game was playing out, right? So you win 3-2 final, right? In overtime, you get that third and final, that game-winning goal with what, about 3 minutes left, right, in the second
Yes,
overtime.
sir.
Is that right? Yeah. So take us through how the game is playing out in regulation as you're going into overtime, first overtime period. What is going through your thoughts, yours and your coaching staff's thoughts at that point?
Man, I'll tell you, I would probably say the first 25, the first 30 were not a very good sign of soccer. It was a goalkeeper would collect, punt, someone would win out of the midfield, send it all the way back to the goalkeeper. She'd collect it, punt. It was a lot of that at first. But as the game kind of settled down, you know, and there were chances that Franklin, they had us on our heels, and then we didn't have very many chances. We scored first, there's a young lady on my team, freshman, um, and she took a chance left foot and she struck it and it went in, far post, but it didn't last long. We talk about make sure we're holding tight on set pieces, marking up, and we did it twice. We forgot to mark up and we allowed them just to put a nice easy header on the goal. And I mean, height wise, I don't have anyone to match up with the two young ladies, but my kids are resilient. No discredit to Franklin. It was a hard fought game. It was a great game. I Man, I was excited that we went into overtime. Like, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose in overtime. That's the way you want to do it. You want to lose, leaving it all out there. No excuses. Everyone's hanging on. Everyone's doing their last ditch effort to win. You know, that second half. Ironically, I sat and I talked to my coaching staff, and we're looking across the field, and I'm looking at my personnel, and I turn and I look at my assistant coach. I go, "You see this?" She goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, I mean, it's like I've got six freshmen on the field, and it's like okay, like this is awesome. It's awesome that they're willing to take that challenge to go out and compete against a number one district team on the opposite end of us, and go out and fight for it. And honestly, it was the last 3 minutes where that set piece was a freshman to a freshman,
Wow.
for
Awesome.
the game winner.
So you bag the eventual game winner, right? You go up 3-2, final 3 minutes. Then are you just kind of losing your mind? Or are those the longest 3 minutes of your young playoff life there? Or how'd you, what's going through your mind in that moment?
What's going through my mind is kick it out, kick it out, send it forward. If we collect the ball, run it up the line, go shield it in the corner, send the ball long, send it long, get it away from our defensive third. If we make a mistake, make it on their half, not our defensive third. And just kick it out, kick it out, kick it out. If we get a throw in, take your time, manage the clock. Of course, no subs, right? Because I'm up. Because within what the 3 minutes they stop the clock. So just kick it out.
Yeah. Rafa?
Yeah. So now going forward, coach, after the win on this past week, their next opponent, how do you guys match up with them?
Yeah,
Um,
coach, you have area round matchup. You have Mansfield, Lake Ridge. So tell us, obviously that's a talented squad, right? What are your thoughts since the moment that that game went to 0-0? All right, and you start getting ready for the next one. What are your thoughts on that?
my thoughts are, we played Friday. Um, we played long minutes on Friday, so of course we take the weekend, come back, evaluate on. I mean, of course, myself and my coaching staff are evaluating right now, game plan, things like that. But the big thing is focus on what we do positively. The things that are working for us, keep honing those in. The things that we're lacking, let's tighten it up. Let's clean some things up, and let's go out blazing glory. For our program, right? We've done something that hasn't been done at our school for a long time, and it's one, making the playoffs, you know, um, and two, winning a by district game. So we're on a high note. If our next match is it, um, we our season was a success. Now going into it next year, we know what the standard is. So then that means we challenge ourselves to go past the by district. We challenge ourselves to be more competitive at the area, and grow. And now we'll have, players coming in with experience and understand what it's going to take to grow on the success we had this year.
We are talking to Coach Carlos Ruiz, the head women's soccer coach of the Midland Legacy Lady Rebels. Coach, before we let you go, got two things for you. So one, tell us a little bit more. You just talked about having six freshmen on the field, so that's an awesome problem to have, right? But maybe one or two players in your program that more people beyond maybe 26A should know about. If you could brag on maybe one or two, tell us about them.
I would say I got two center midfielders. One's a sophomore. Her name's Macy Tolan. This is her second year to play for me as a six. Um, she's great. She's terrific. Anything I ask her to do, she's gonna do her best. No complaint type of kid. Just and always has a smile. She won't tell you she's tired, but you can tell she's tired. And I'll ask her, "You tired?" She goes, "No, sir, I'm ready to go." So, a great kid. I look forward to seeing her grow, develop, and mature in the game, and as a young lady. And the other one I would have to say is number 12, Cameron, freshman. She's the one that scored the first goal against Franklin. She's come in, she's played a big role for us as an attacking mid, and man, she leaves it all out there. And I look forward to these two kids, growing and maturing. And you would think that they've played together for a long time, and this is actually the first year they've played together. But they do a good job combining, reciprocating for each other, transitioning. If one goes high, one tucks in, and they do well to find each other.
Awesome. Hey, again, great problem to have, right? Freshman
Yes,
and
sir.
sophomore. Says we start wrapping up here, Coach, to get you out of here. Any our stoppage time. So any shout outs, thank yous, anything that's on your mind, maybe as it relates to the game, anything you want to share, the floor is yours.
Man, the big things I want to say thank you to the opportunity to do what I do as a high school soccer coach. Growing up playing soccer, living in Midland, I'm a product of this environment, and then now being able to come back after playing college and being able to give back to the school, to the community. It's a true honor, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this. And the kids are terrific, and my goal is, and the goal with the girls is, make a run, for sure. We want to make a run. I remember being in high school and these programs here, both Midland High, Midland Lee, and I'm a graduate of Midland High, so I went to the opposite school, but I love being a rebel, love coaching the rebels, and hopefully, we can make a run at some point and put the school back on the map and be that school that people talk about. And, I think it's terrific what we get to do where we use the sport itself to mentor kids, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that is a that is a region, a particular area, part of Texas, Permian Basin area that is, I think, on the rise, going to see a lot of great days in terms of soccer in the future, just from everything you're seeing from the level of coaching, the quality of coaching, the programs, right, as well as even what you're seeing at the college level, right, in that area. So excited for you guys in that area as well. So, man, that must have been. How long did it take you, being a bulldog? How long did it take you to get used to wearing the the rebel colors? That must have been an adjustment.
uh, I would probably say I look better in maroon than purple and yellow. you know,
All right. He is again Coach Carlos Ruiz, the head women's soccer coach of the Midland Legacy Lady Rebels. They face Mansfield Lake Ridge in the area round coming up. So, Coach, set it up for us. When and where? What time are you playing?
we are going to play at 8 o'clock on Tuesday at Abilene Wiley Stadium.
Wiley. Gotcha.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
All right. Wishing you the absolute best of luck, Coach. Really appreciate you coming on here. Best and maybe see if we can set something up for next year. We'll see next season. So really
Oh,
appreciate you, Coach.
I'm game, coach.
All right. Appreciate you. Again, that's Coach Carlos Ruiz of Midland Legacy. Thanks, Coach. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Coach Ruiz, what'd you think, man?
Great stuff there. Like I said, with you know, District 268 kind of gets lost in the shuffle because you have your El Paso teams and then the Dallas teams. They're kind of like, not talked about a lot, but they're like I said, they're on the rise and they're getting better and better. And he made a great point. Playing the non-district games, and I know that they're going to the teams. You said to get punched in the face. They're going to the Dallas area tournaments, and I think they're finally closing that gap. And if they can get a win against Lake Ridge, that's you can pretty much show everyone that, hey, we're here, we're closing the gap, and who knows, maybe see a state champion there in the near future from that area.
Yeah, he's so great for that. Just that program, that area. I mean, I hope they realize how lucky they are to have to have him, to have a coach of his his quality, his experience, his background, very good. So yeah, they're lucky to have him for sure. So, all right, that does it again for Coach Carlos Ruiz of Midland Legacy, and we are going to transition now. Bring on our next guest. All right, our next returning champion here. He is joining us from the backyard. It looks like Coach Aaron Wessner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. The head men's soccer coach of the Frisco Emerson Mavericks. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Thank you for. I mean, this is You're in the. Well, no, you're not quite in the mix yet for Gold Jacket time. This is what your third time. Third
I
time.
think third
joining?
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Third time being on the podcast.
yeah. Now you can tell all your impatient compadres on the chat to chill out.
My
Tell them
goodness.
yeah.
That looks like all of our freshman group. They're going to have some nice box to box running tomorrow at practice if they keep it up. But yeah.
No, all good. Hey, we're glad they're in here, man. We're glad they're in here. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, chat, keeping it lively. Appreciate that. So, Coach, before we dive into all the particulars, all the details, all right, your recent week that was, your season that's been, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much, man. It's just been trying to relax and come down off the high of the weekend for sure. It was a great Friday night, so just been relaxing at home, getting some projects done for the wife. We're in our last week of spring break, last couple of days, so and then trying to prepare for next week, see how that goes.
Yeah, so I remember back in November, right? Saturday,
Hmm.
that last Saturday before Thanksgiving, you were the final interview that I had of the weekend, right? 11 interviews. You
Yes,
were
sir.
interview number 11, last interview of the Tasco convention weekend. And I remember there you talking about how the goal you came out with it, right? Our big goal was to, hey, let's finally qualify for playoffs, right? In our young program's history, let's before we can start talking about all the other things, let's first get there, right? Let's first get to the tournament, get to the dance. And sure enough, man, here you are a few months later, and you did that. You made history. You made the playoffs, and then and not only that, you went right past that, and you got your first playoff win. So, how has all of that, from the moment you found out you qualified for playoffs to last week's victory? How has that been in terms of being able to manage all of that?
Oh, there was a lot to manage because our district was so tight. I think at one point after the first 7 games, we go through our first round. The difference between first place and fifth place was only 4 points. So it was so tight that you're hoping to try to get in and clinch, but at the same time, there's a realistic chance that you might be able to go win a district championship. And at Emerson, we're young. We're a new high school in the last 5 years, and that hasn't been done as far as a team winning a district championship in any sport. So it was heavy on our minds of, hey, we could be the first one. So let's definitely push to do that. But also we wanted to focus on making it to the playoffs. So it's kind of crazy. We actually, when we clinched, it was a wild night, clinching a playoff berth. It coincided, just so happened, with my 100th career win. So my wife and our AD and our principal, they had an incredible kind of setup for me after the game was over. Got hit with the ice bath, got hit with streamers, and they had confetti poppers that came out. It was a crazy night, one that was really fun to celebrate. We turn around and have to play one of the top 4 teams in our district, and I felt like we had a little bit of a letdown as far as our energy goes, because it was like the weight of clinching that playoff spot had kind of been lifted, and we were like, oh, we can relax a little bit, but not in the district that we play in, for sure. And so we got beat that night and had to turn around and keep trying to fight to get ourselves in a good position on seeding. But we ended up closing out, I think, 1-2. There were a lot of things that we, in my opinion, weren't doing well. And I knew that this was going to be a focus for us as far as we've got to fix this going into our first ever playoff game. And can we get back to who we are as a team and our identity? And, lo and behold, everything worked out on Friday. So.
Right. Yeah. So, you take us through this. So you finished third overall in 11-5A in a tough district that prepared you. Now you qualify for playoffs. The regular season is over, and here you are prepping for playoffs. And then that pre-game warm-up, right, versus Carrollton Turner. What was up to that point, right? And then when the ball was finally kicked off to start the match, how were the nerves for you? How were the nerves for the boys? Like everybody does, no one has they don't have any previous experience, right, on that one. So what were the nerves like there?
Yeah, that was a hard part to manage, is how do you take a group of 25 to 30 kids into a playoff game when none of them have experience playing in it. So for me, is trying to keep everything routine throughout the week. We're on spring break, so obviously there's another challenge just because you have everything is different. They're not practicing at the same time. They're not going to school throughout the day. So you got to manage what they're doing throughout the week. So we would have practice in the morning. Our Tuesday was a camp that we got to run, our in-season camp. To have a lot of fun and get some kids out there. And that was so great. Our kids do such a good job of just, I don't know if it's our school or it's the way we do things with our project-based learning. Our kids are so much more prepared to talk in front of people. And so when you put them in those situations, they just shine. And it was so fun to see them go out and really be a part of a camp and just have a lot of fun doing it and get the kids excited to be there. And I've got 5 kids of my own, 3 of them that are young, and they got to go out and they love our kids. So it's one of those things that it was so much fun just to watch them compete and kind of take their mind off of it. And then for us, Wednesday, we got back to business and knowing that we've got to prepare. So we do our traditional shuttle run Wednesday. It doesn't matter that we got a playoff game coming up. We're going to always do shuttle runs on Wednesday. That's how we do. We got to keep our fitness up. And, we got into our finishing drills that we do, just, standard stuff that we do every week. And we talked about press and things like that. I'll tell you, going into what we do as far as every Thursday on a shooting drill is it's a 4-line shooting drill that we have where we're mixing shots from the middle and crosses coming from the side, trying to get the cutback zone. And we do it for 10 minutes. And at the beginning of the year, we got 50 goals you have to score in 10 minutes. And from there, it goes up 5 every week. So by the time we hit this week, it was 105 goals in 10 minutes. And that caused some anxiety because there's some times that I tell them, all right, if you don't get it, we're going to do a box to box. We're going to do some running afterwards. So even though you're tired, I don't care. We're gonna do it if you don't hit that time. And throughout the season, I've kind of let them, all right, you didn't do so well on that one. I'll give you a second chance, double or nothing. And we do that. But I told them, I said, there's no double or nothing here. You get this done, you focus and finish, and then we'll be done or we're gonna run. And so I don't know. I try to cause stress as much as possible in practice so that when we get to the game, that stress that hits of the game, they're used to it and they've already handled it a little bit. And we tried to introduce as much of that as possible in practice settings, and I think that prepared us pretty well to getting ready to go into what was a crazy game for us.
Well said, Rafa.
Coach, coming in from the Frisco district, I think it's becoming like the mecca of high school soccer for Texas. I know Wickland and Reedy and Lone Star gets attention, but your district's starting to really make some noise.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about your District 11's prepared you for this next step?
Oh man, it's the district. The whole way was so difficult. Every game in, game out, there wasn't a game where we could okay, we'll be fine. We're gonna be able to breathe tonight. It was, you have to be prepared to play every night, or you're gonna get beat. And like you said, our district is kind of on the rise. If you look at that, as far as how we cross over in our by district, I know I read a lot of the predictions and listened to a lot of the predictions, and I even texted Coach Hector about it, that y'all got to watch out for Liberty. That team is solid, and they were probably one of the most complete teams. And that's no disrespect to Heritage, who ended up was our district champs. They are a fantastic team and have made a deep run last year in the playoffs. So we've got a lot of teams that are really good, and it turns out the three of us are moving on. With Memorial had to go up against a tough Wakeland squad, and man, nobody wants to see Wakeland in the playoffs. That's just I feel like you're already climbing up. It's a losing battle, right? Yeah. So no, but I feel like we did a great job. I mean, Heritage is now moving on to the second round. I think if you go back to talking about district standings, we started looking at it after we had lost our second game to Heritage, and the boys were disappointed because they felt like they lost out on that chance to win a district championship. And I was like, I'll be honest, guys, I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world to happen to us, because it ended up put us on the bottom side of the bracket where we got to avoid that other juggernaut of Walnut Grove. And so that's the next round game, Heritage and Walnut Grove. And then we're going to face a really good McKinney North team. And again, no disrespect to McKinney North, but you're not running up against what in people's minds are an unbeatable squad, especially when Walnut Grove is going on that 60-something run that they haven't lost in that many games. So it was kind of nice for us. We're like, Heritage, you can go ahead and take that one first. If you take them out, we know what we got coming towards us, and if you don't, we're going to try to figure it out as well, if we can hopefully get to that point.
Yeah. So, Coach, I got to tell you, man, back in November, being the last kind of the new tradition that we've started there at the Tasco convention, you got the autograph signed by everybody. So you told me you put it where again? Where did you put it?
It is in my office. I got to get a picture. I'm going to take a picture of it tomorrow. I promise. It's up there.
I couldn't remember where you told me you put it, but anyway, yeah. I knew you took it to school. I just couldn't remember I couldn't remember classroom, office, field house.
Yeah.
I don't know where you put it, but I'm just saying, man, you took that with you. First playoff appearance. That's that 50-50 pot effect that we talked about.
That's a lot of luck right there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, all good. So hey. So you take care of business versus Carrollton Turner, 4-1 final in the by-district round. You capture your first. So everything here becomes new to them, right, going forward, right? So
sure.
Play, win or qualify for the playoffs, win your first playoff game. Now it's another one, right? So now it's kind of managing a little bit of success. Yep. How do we handle things going forward for the next round, right? So now, as you mentioned earlier, you get McKinney North. So tell us a little bit there in terms of your preparations, and then give us the details as to when and where you're playing that match.
Sure. So, a couple of weeks ago, I don't think I ever stop just thinking about things and looking ahead. So a couple of weeks ago, I knew that there was a really good chance that McKinney North was going to be our team that we have to play in the second round if we could get by the first round game. Definitely not overlooking that, but we had already played Turner preseason, and so we had a good idea about who they were. And I just like to go put eyes on people, and so I was able to go watch McKinney North. history, blue blood. Talk about another North Texas team that's usually pretty good historically, and they're the same again. They come in second out of their district, really only falling to the powers that be at Walnut Grove, and they've got a solid team. They run a good 4-3-3. And so we're prepping. Now, can we put our press on and kind of dictate the pace of how that game is going to go? That's all of our focus. I think big focus for us is recovery, because our kids. It's a blessing and a curse that you have so many kids that play that high level club. And we want them playing that high level club, but at the same time, it means they're busy and they've got a lot of miles that are going to get on their legs. So I think, going into this game, it's all about recovery. What can we do to prepare them, to get them ready to go, and just managing those emotions. I will tell you, I will give a huge shout out to my assistant coach, Jasper Hung. We brought up the boys on game day. We bring them up early to lift in the morning, just so I know, especially since they weren't in school, I know they're not sleeping all day. But they came up, they lifted, and then we did some yoga. We fed them breakfast. We got to do pancakes and all the goodness. I mean, they had a great time. And then they left, and me and my assistant coaches kind of got ready for pregame meals, setting up, kind of being ready for the game, just staying up there. And my assistant coach looked at me and goes, I just really don't like where they're at right now. I don't like that they're – in his mind, they weren't as locked in as they should have been. And that's an ongoing challenge with kids these days, man. They're just not like we used to be when we were younger. I know before games, when I played in college, you couldn't talk to me for like 3 hours. I wasn't going to say a word. I'm going to be locked in and focused. And it's just not who these kids are. They are, especially soccer players, man. They love to goof around. They love to have fun. And you just question whether or not they're ready to play. And so Coach Hung, while we were sitting at lunch that day, he goes, I got an idea. And so he goes back to his office. He starts typing out some questions, and he gets his paper out, man, with 3 different prompts on different things that, what are you concerned about right now? What are some of the biggest worries that you have in your life right now? And just different things that he put on there. And you never know how the kids are going to take it, but they went ahead and started writing, man, and it almost looked like they were writing novels. And what he had them all do is as soon as they were done, close it up, stapled it. He took every paper from them. He goes, sweet, you guys are going to get this after the game. From now, you're leaving all those worries right here on this paper, and let's go. And so that's what they did, man, and it really clicked. God, I mean, as soon as we did that, you could see almost a weight drop off of them, and there was a lot more focus. It was like they knew what they were going to do. They were going to play a game that they love, something that they had done over and over and over again, and everything was going to be fine, no matter the outcome. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing, managing emotions, managing, our just getting our rehab and kind of getting rehabilitated back into getting ready to go play another game.
Love that. So you got McKinney North winning work.
Yep. So we play Tuesday night at McKinney Boyd at 7:30. I think they're doing a doubleheader with their girls team who is in as well. So It's going to be a lot of fun. It's not bad. It's really right in between both schools. So
awesome. Rafa, you got any final questions, final thoughts for Coach?
Oh yeah, Coach. Looking forward, like I said, looking forward for the game on how do you guys match up against McKinney North? Looking forward for Tuesday night.
I think we match up fairly well. I mean, I feel good about our chances if we can go out and press the way that we press. Hector, you and I have talked about in years past and earlier this year, just talking about our style and how high tempo we want to be. And, we talked about John Pacheco back then. What was the one name that you thought everyone needed to know about? I mean, that young man has 18 goals and 19 assists. We'll talk about consistency and what we get out of him. He was able to score another one the other night in the playoff game. He had 3 that went off the post earlier in the first half, too. So we've got some dudes that we feel very confident in and going forward with the ball. And if we can get up and cause a lot of pressure, I think it's going to be key for us. Can we turn them over in good spots for us and be able to go forward right away?
Love that. Well said. Yeah, Coach, you've been talking about Mr. Pacheco for a while now.
Oh, yeah. I
guess you're only playing him like one half, right? 18 goals, 19 assists. I guess you're only playing him part-time, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's just a little bit of the game.
Hey, I'd love to hear that. Congrats. Congrats, John. So now we talked about him. Now, is there maybe in a perfect world, every coach would brag on every one of his players, right? But if you could pick another one or two that maybe the state, maybe beyond 11-5A should know about, tell us about them.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, there's a lot on our team right now. We have 13 seniors on the year. We've got 6 of them that start, and then the rest of our lineup is all underclassmen, with a lot of them being sophomores. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you 2 underclassmen because I feel like you should know about these 2 guys. The number one that I would say is Griffin Taylor. He is a high level MLS Next kid, ECNL. Now he dropped back down to ECNL to kind of play for us as well. But he played right wing for us, and about halfway through the year, we moved him back to center back, which is his traditional position at the club level. And that switch for us locked down a lot in the back. He is probably one of the best 1v1 defenders in the state. I would put money on him. And what I love seeing about him when he plays is the passion he plays with. And we talked about this early on. One of our coaches that came in said, I want to see you guys celebrate the defensive side of the ball like you celebrate goals. Like if you get a really big tackle or you get a really big save as a goalkeeper, you guys should be celebrating it just like he scored a goal. And the other night, man, he had so many times where Arnold Turner counterattacks so well, and he's moving so quick down the side, and Griffin just comes out of nowhere and takes him out and takes the ball with him and hops up and is screaming and celebrating, almost to the point where it made me a little nervous because I was like, dude, turn around. They could throw the ball in at any time. Let's go. But he is just one of those passionate players, man, that you either love him or you hate him. And it depends if you're playing against him or he's on your team. But he's one of those good kids.
I call those, hey, we'll just be grateful that they're on your team, right? Kind of
yes.
guys.
Yes.
Absolutely love that. So, Coach.
And I'm going to cheat. No, I'm going to cheat real quick. I'll tell you one more. I got another one. I got a sophomore named Paxton Manchetta, and we actually lost him for a couple weeks due to a groin pull, and we were able to get him back for the playoff game. And I mean, the game is just different without him there. He plays the 6 for us. He locks everything down. And so those 2 guys right there, college coaches need to come running to come see those guys play because they're going to help somebody out at the next level for sure.
Is that all sophomores, huh? I like that.
Well, yeah, one's a junior, one's a sophomore. We got a freshman that scored a big goal the other night, and they're in the comments right now trying to hype him up because it's all the freshman kids. But yeah, Nathan Ike scored a goal the other night. First career goal as a varsity player too, because we called him up from the freshman team for the playoffs, and he scored. So, yeah.
So, Coach, normally what we do here, right? We do our stoppage time, right? Our shout-outs, thank yous, what have you. Again, we're talking with Coach Aaron Wessner, the head men's soccer coach of the Frisco Emerson Mavericks, as they prepare for their second round matchup, their area round matchup versus McKinney North on Tuesday. What time again, Coach Ed Boyd? What time?
Tuesday, 7:30.
Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. So normally we do stoppage shout out, but we kind of want to do something a little differently here with you because I know you've got something to plug. So you wanted to highlight the Frisco ISD Senior Soccer Showcase. Tell us about that, Coach.
Yeah, so it's the first ever one that we're doing. I actually just got off a Zoom call with all the rest of the coaches in Frisco, and we know that there are all different senior showcases that are out there, and when soccer is so big in the state of Texas, it's hard to get your kids recognized and get kind of to the next level. And so what we wanted to do as an ISD is get these kids, the ones that maybe even are looking for a place to play even at the next level the next year, give them one more chance in front of their friends, their family, and then college coaches to come out and take a look at what Frisco ISD has to offer. And we all know, like you said earlier, Frisco is one of the almost like the mecca of soccer, where there's such good soccer that's played in this area, and there's so many club teams as well that are up around this area playing. So we just wanted to make this senior soccer showcase. It's going to happen Wednesday, April 29th. The girls' game's at 5:30, the boys' game's at 7:30, and it's just going to be one more chance for our Frisco ISD seniors to get back out on the field and play the game that they love, and hopefully we get a lot of coaches that are going to come out and recruit some of these kids because a lot of them deserve a chance to play at the next level and are really looking forward to that opportunity.
Yeah. College coaches definitely going to get on this Wednesday, April 29th, Kuykendall Stadium. Is that how you pronounce it? I think
Kuykendall, yeah. It's Kuykendall, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I know that isn't right. So girls game 5:30, boys 7:30. All senior Frisco ISD Senior Soccer Showcase. Where can they go to get more information on this, Coach?
So they can
College.
go to the Frisco ISD website. We're going to be emailing out college coaches. I know the coaches, all the coaches in Frisco ISD are going to be emailing out to their networks that they have, and just inviting everybody to come on. But it's going to be a great time, and it's going to be a fun game. I know all of us as coaches, we kind of get to help out. I think we decided like district champs are going to be the head coach, and then everybody else can assist. So it'll be fun. It's just going to be a fun game, chance for those kids to get out and play one more time.
All right. That is awesome. That is Coach Aaron Wessner. Coach, really appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Wishing you the absolute best of luck in your next round versus McKinney North. And keep doing what you're doing, man. Really proud of
Thank
you.
you, sir.
I know we go back to your days when you were in Georgia. So
Oh,
happy to
yeah.
have you back here. Happy to have you back here in Texas and wish you the best of luck. I know Frisco Emerson is lucky to have you and wish you the best.
I appreciate it, man. And I thank you guys for everything that you guys do for our sport and just the coverage, man. What you are doing is fantastic, and we love it.
I appreciate you, brother. Wishing you the best. Take care, man. Take
All
care.
right, thanks. See you guys.
All right. That is Coach Wessner of Frisco Emerson. Great stuff. Really excited to see that stuff. The stuff he's doing here with the senior soccer showcase there out of Frisco ISD. Tons of talent, man. You can't throw a rock without all kinds of talented players in that area. Thoughts on what he had to share, Coach?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Having that showcase for the district, because I know they have the Tasco one here in May, and some players do get miss out on that opportunity. I think Harry posted a comment. I think maybe a lot of the ISD should really consider hosting their own little kind of showcase if they have, like I said, especially if they have multiple schools, like maybe like 4 or 5 schools, 4 or more. It's just want to
Right.
showcase that talent for one more time. Especially like here in San Antonio, it'd be nice to have like a San Antonio area showcase. I think football does that already here in San Antonio. So I think maybe a soccer one would be great. It'd be nice. They're at Comalander or they're here at Ferris. It'd be a nice spot to play at.
One of the things, so my take on it has always been a little different, right? I think having been a former college coach, I think one of the things that I push for that I would like to see, I think they're great ideas, don't get me wrong. I can understand how the natural tendency is to lean towards seniors on this, but I think I would like to see it to be opened up to beyond seniors, maybe particularly maybe juniors, right? Kind of or an underclassman, right? Because from a college coach perspective, that's what they're thinking. That's what they're looking for, right? They kind of want to see. It's like I don't necessarily want to see somebody when they're a senior because maybe it's a little too late, or maybe I don't have enough time to get enough data on them, right? Unless, of course, and I'm not talking about your P4s, right? Your 1% schools either. I'm not talking about that. But if nothing else, if they're playing in these as sophomores or maybe juniors, right? That's just more time, more exposure, one more opportunity on top of, the dozens of showcases that a lot of club players are already playing in. But when you see it from a high school perspective, I think it's a pretty cool thing to see. That's probably the only suggestion I would make is that how they tend to always be on the senior side, and that's one thing that I think if I'm a college coach, I kind of want to see them earlier, if at all possible. So just a thought there. So, all right, Rafa, it is that time, man. We're going to go ahead. We're going to transition over to special thanks again to Coach Ruiz of Midland Legacy, as well as Coach Wessner of Frisco Emerson. It is time to start discussing some by district chaos, and we're going to bring up our specific ones that you want to highlight. But before we get to those, what were just your general thoughts on the by district round?
It was interesting, like I said, after bracketology, the anticipation, and I know we get some messages and comments like, "Hey, you just give us bulletin board motivation and stuff," which is great. Like I said, we're not always going to be right all the time and stuff. And like I said, you do have surprises, and that's why you play the games. On paper, yeah, maybe someone might, they have the advantage, but you still got to play the games, and maybe you catch them at a bad night, or you just cause matchup problems. You take advantage of it, and hey, you go on to the next. It's like what kind of like a post I put out there. It's to the strongest. Whoever's the strongest at the end is going to be the one holding the trophy. So, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've been thinking about this one for a while. We need to replace that. Like, first of all, who the heck still has a bulletin board, right? I think it's time this day and age, right? We need to update that motto, that saying, right? Because yeah, no one's pulling up to a bulletin board at this point, right? So bulletin board material. Let's phase that one out. Let's come up with a new one. But yeah, I think I get it. I think, yeah, I mean, that's part of the process, right? Just prove us right, prove us wrong. There are some programs who we won't hear from all year, right? And then they don't, they don't get picked. So they get in their feelings for whatever reason, and rightfully so. Hey, we want them to be motivated. That shouldn't matter whether someone's picking against them or not. But then we hear from them after the fact when the result goes their way. If the result doesn't go their way, of course we don't hear from them, right? But that's just the nature of the beast. That's how it goes. So, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it was a fun bracketology, man. We ended up forgot to get the final numbers. I think we were what? I think went over definitely. What was it? What it ended up being 7.5 hours or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
close to almost just under
it
8 hours.
yeah. So. Yeah,
Yeah.
so here we go. So Mr. Harold Austin himself joining us. So yeah, great input here. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Barstool is the new bulletin board. Yeah, yeah, I love that. And old curmudgeon himself still imagine that still has a bulletin board, right?
Does he still use
So,
the little the markers and the sharpies and
yeah. I know. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and Harry's in here saying I think we were eight
8
hours. I
hours?
thought, yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. We have to do the actual math to see. We never even discussed that because 4A was a little different. It went 3 hours. Yeah, I think it had to have been at least 8 hours because day one was what 5 hours 11 minutes. So I'm gonna guess about 8 hours 11 minutes, 12 minutes because
Mhm.
but 4A was went a little over just because of the nature of the amount of information that we were missing. And then you guys got to remember too that it's like we're going off of projected enrollment numbers. So yeah. So all right, man. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and bring up our initial by district chaos spotlight programs here that you wanted to talk about. So if we could get that to here we go. There we go. Got it. Thoughts on these two, coach? You're going to tell us first. We're going to look at. You're going to highlight two girls, 4A Division Two, Graham and versus Canyon Randall, as well as 6A Division Two, Prosper versus Marcus.
So, one game, like I said, it was the surprise, and the other was basically the battle of the heavyweights. The pound for pound, and we know that. And like I said, we had Prosper's coach last week. Talk about it. But the surprise, let's talk about the 4A surprise with Graham knocking off defending state champion Canyon Randall. I don't think anybody. I know Randall kind of had struggled a little bit this year, but I thought what they learned from last year, winning the state title, they had experience and can go in. But like I said, Graham found a way. Like I said, they took him to the penalty kick shootout and they converted, and they're on to the. I think that was kind of like the first bracket buster there because I know Kevin had kind of posted
Yeah,
in on
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
so that was
This
kind of
was
like the domino.
this was either I think it was like the what third or fourth match of the
Hmm.
entire across the entire state being played when it happened too. I was just like, yeah, there goes a bunch of brackets right there.
Yeah. So, but congratulations to Grams. They, like I said, they came out with no fear, and they got the win, and they're like I said now in their second round. Now, can they continue that? Because, like I said, when you beat a team, especially that's one state, you have that high, you have that adrenaline. You know, can you remain focused to the next round? Because, like I said, it's win or go home. So we'll see what Graham does in the next round. But then the second game, I mean, like I said, what can you say? Two heavyweights, your perennial powers, year in year out. You know, this should be a regional final, maybe even the state final. I can even say maybe in the state championship level type of game. Um, they got to give it a Prosper. Like I said, they get that win and move on. It's just a shame that Marcus has to bow out. And then we've seen these the last few years. But I mean, it's just a great soccer game each year in year out when these two face each other.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously I had Prosper winning this one, and I don't know if definitely didn't have Graham over Randall, but yeah, I think tough to say just because it was hard to gauge. I felt like Prosper's been consistent all year, right? Marcus has kind of been, even as a defending state champion, has kind of been a little bit up and down by their standards. That is, so I get it. It was that one. I felt like, well, it was a little tougher to gauge, right? I don't feel like that. I wasn't shocked by this score by any means. And then, but yeah, the Graham over Canyon Randall in penalties. Yeah, the fact that it went to overtime, the fact that they pulled it out in penalties, just kudos to Graham. Congratulations to Graham. And yeah, that does it for our girls by district spotlight. So, all right, coach. So we're going to transition over to the boys. You'll tell us here, boys. All right. So, boys 4A Division II Lake Worth versus Diamond Hill Jarvis, and then 6A Division I Klein Kane, and the one that I felt, Bridgeland.
Yeah, so these are two games that we got, a couple of backer busters here. Lake Worth, we heard some things about Lake Worth. Like I said, hey, you guys should really kind of think about, they said, I think they're a good team. They're going against Diamond Hill Jarvis, who, they've become a perennial power for 4A, year in, year out. They've really established a great program. But for Lake Worth to pull out a win here, it's a big notch for their program, and it's a good confidence booster going in, knowing they can take out one of these, favorites year in, year out. So we'll see what they'll do in round 2. And then the second game, Klein Kane versus Bridgeland. You spoke about Bridgeland. You had really high hopes for them. They said, we thought this is going to be their year. They're going to kind of break through,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and stuff. And and Klein Kane kind of struggled a little bit. We weren't sure, if were they going to buy out in the first round. And like I said, this was going to be a tough matchup. But like I said, when you win a state title, you find ways to win, and I think that's what they used for this game. And like I said, they made a statement. Like I say, hey, we're not done yet, and who knows? Maybe from this one there, it could maybe lead them to make another run like they did last year.
Yeah, I felt like that. So the Klein Kane over Bridgeland was, excuse me, I felt like last year's experience, even on top of what they graduated, last year's experience kind of came into play here, right? And taking nothing away from Bridgeland, because Bridgeland's obviously well accustomed to making getting some playoff victories. So it's not like this was their first time here, but the experience that those returning players from Klein Kane got, that's what we were kind of curious about, right? That's what we were talking about in bracketology. That's what we were talking about offline. Was with the kind of up and down season that they had, and by no means was it bad, because I think they had 3 losses, I think. So by no means was it bad, but it was just like, okay, were we going to get the state champion coming into this year? Were they going to kind of just run away with it and be dominant, or what were they going to be? And we felt like we couldn't quite assess where they were as the playoffs started, right? And you're right, I've been big, and I don't apologize for it one bit, right? So being big on Bridgeland, I'm sorry to see them bow out, but hey, if there's anybody, there's no shame in going down to the defending state champion, and rightfully so. Klein Kane, not going to be an easy out, but from their perspective, right, they get this big result round 1. Now they've got to match up with an interesting Conroe squad in round 2 in the area round. What are your thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, when you win a game like this, you come, like I said, you have a big high and all that. Can you stay focused on the next one? And you can't go overconfident. Going to heck, hey, we beat a really good quality team. We should take care of business in the second round. But Conroe's not going to be a slouch. They're not going to roll over. They fully understand. Hey, these guys are still the defending state champs, and they still have a target on their back. So it's still going to be a difficult game. Like I said, it's going to be I'm sure if you have a chance to go see it, it's going to be a fun game too. It's going to be very competitive. But like I said, for Klein Kane here, get this win. Now you start really making the other teams nervous. Whoever goes into the regional semifinal round, because now you're starting building momentum, and you're peaking at the right time, and that's the case here. It takes a game like this to really kind of turn the leaf after maybe some struggles, some high expectations, from what happened, kind of like the hangover from winning it last year. And like I said, here the experience has helped out, and like I said, I think if they can get a win over Conroe, I think they're going to put a lot of teams on notice and say, hey, we may be able to make another run again, maybe defend our title. I think your mic's off, Coach.
Right. There we go. Yeah, sorry. I accidentally double tapped the mute button there. So, so yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I think interesting matchup. Sneaky good matchup, I think, in terms of Klein Kane and Conroe. And then, yeah, you talked about Lake Worth. Excited to see what they do in the area round matchup over. That's a big statement victory over just a proven program in Diamond Hill Jarvis, right? So, which I think we all had, right? All three of us, you, Steve, and I, all had Diamond Hill Jarvis advancing a couple of rounds. So great matchups here. So we're going to transition over now, Coach. We're going to look at our area spotlight. But before we do, again, remember to like, rate, subscribe, join us. You can find us on Twitter X, Twix as we call it, that's at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. YouTube, go on there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's how you'll make sure that you don't miss anything we do, since 99.9% of everything we do is live. So raw, uncut, everything, you'll get everything. So even our screw ups, our mess ups, our technical difficulties, which we do have from time to time, right? You'll get to see it all, right? And we don't apologize for it. We want it to be, all right, we want it to be authentic. But go on there, make sure you like, rate, subscribe, as well as where you listen to the traditional podcast, right? The audio podcast, whatever your preferred podcast platform is, go on there, all right? Follow us as well and give us a rating, right? That makes us more relevant. That makes us more come up more in the algorithms as well. Same thing with YouTube. We got a lot of people that listen to us and they think they're subscribed and they're not. So first subscribe on the YouTube channel and then hit that live bell notification button. So this way you won't miss a thing. You'll get notifications for everything that we do in terms of content. So got Texas Chief in here, all right, of the Great Southwest Dragon community. So Coach, great first round result and got a good one. Got a good one, right?
I'm sure Chief is happy about being picked the underdog against Seguin. So I'm sure that 9-0 win kind of proves to somebody that
was it 9-0 or what 9-1? Not that it matters.
It was 9-0. Yeah,
was it 9-0?
It kind of proves that they made it do a little more research when it comes to their soccer playoffs and stuff, or maybe they forgot they didn't watch bracketology. But yeah, but shout out to the Southwest Dragons, great win for them. They got a tough one on the next one, but should be a fun one.
Coach, help us, Coach Chief, help us replace. We're trying to get rid of bulletin board material because nobody other than one particular coach in Baytown Sterling still has a bulletin board. So we're trying to get rid of bulletin board material and come up with a new one, right? So love that. So Chief, thank you for being in here. Really appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you continue to do in support of not just the Southwest community, but as well as Texas high school soccer. Appreciate you. All right. Let us transition over here. So now our area spotlight. So what we are going to do here is we're going to look at 3 matchups across 4A, 5A, and 6A girls. Then we'll transition over to the boys, 4A, 5A, and 6A boys. And Coach, tell us, we'll go through all of these, and then we'll discuss these and tell us why you chose these.
Yeah, so these 3 games, I think, are probably some key area round games. It's a mix of some perennial powers, kind of a mix of a new program and some up and comers. First one you're going to take a look at is the Lake Worth girls versus basically a perennial power year in, year out. Like I said,
at this point they are.
So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be an interesting game for them. Going to this, for this one. And hold on one second. I'm just checking one of my notes real quick. So hold on one second. So yeah, I think So it's gonna be, like I said, it should be a fun one. Can Lake Worth kind of shock the world here and knock off Life Waxahachie? And I know Life Waxahachie wants to get back to that showdown with Salina, but they're gonna have their their hands full coming up against Lake Worth. The second one is I think it's gonna be probably the best game in East Texas is gonna be in the East Texas area, with your perennial power Lumberton versus kind of the new kid on the block, Katie Freeman, and this is going to be a great one because can the new kid on the block knock off the perennial power and continue going? And it's going to be a very interesting match, and it's gonna, like I said, it's going to be a fun one to see. So I think whoever wins this game is probably going to be the big favorite to win the region, and then another in the third game, a couple other programs are. I think these are up and coming programs. Brownwood's had an excellent season, so has Benbrook, and the meet in the second round is going to be another classic there, and they could be one of those maybe possible dark horses, in that region. So like I said,
Mhm.
that's it's gonna be a fun one. I believe I forgot where they're playing that game, but
Yeah.
that's gonna, like I said, I think that's gonna be another good one to watch that in Region One.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, Lake Worth. You look at Lake Worth here versus Life Waxahachie. Life Waxahachie, we kind of get the sense. We talked about it in bracketology, right? So if you haven't gone in there, make sure you go in there, take a listen to the all three classifications of bracketology, but particularly we're talking about 4A here right now. We view Life Waxahachie as like they have one target, right? They have one objective, is like get past Salina, and we can get we can maybe make that run to state, right, or hoist the state championship trophy. And Lake Worth, you kind of get the sense that it's like at this point, like the pressure is not on them, right? It's kind of a bit of house money here. So how do they choose to play this game? How do they tackle it? Do they have a chance? Yes, against a very good Life Waxahachie squad. Then we look at Lumberton, Katie Freeman. I think this, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Coach, sorry about that. So I made a mistake on that one. It's not Lake Worth, it's Lake Dallas. Sorry about that. So
Lake Dallas. Oh,
that was
okay,
my
gotcha.
typo.
Lake
So
Dallas.
Lake Dallas. So let me correct that. So going back to that Lake Dallas, sorry about that because there was a typo on that. So yeah, Lake Dallas is right now
Okay.
19-2. So they're going to the Lake Dallas girls. So I apologize about that. So I guess we got the
Yeah.
mix, same colors, same lake.
Lake Dallas. Lake Dallas. Got
Yeah,
it.
so they are
Okay.
same area, but sorry,
Yeah.
apologies that. But yeah, so Lake Dallas Lady Falcons, they're
Oh,
19-2. Like I said, they're against Life Waxahachie. That's good. Like I said, that's an interesting game there. Um, you know, can Lake Dallas, take that next step? And like I said, this is
mhm.
I think their big opportunity here. Going, into the second round game. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's not going to be an easy game for Life Waxahachie.
Gotcha. So typo there. That is Lake Dallas,
Yeah,
not Lake Worth. So we'll take it out of your pay, Rafa. No worries.
sorry,
So all right.
apologize for that.
Lumberton and Katie Freeman in what I think is probably one of the best sneaky 4A matchups in the state, right? It's a Katie Freeman squad that is surging, right? They've got tons of momentum. They don't know what they don't know, being such a young squad, right? Coach Aaron Pointer's got them firing on all cylinders. They're playing their absolute best, and then they go up against like one of the 4A behemoths in Lumberton that is just year in and year out, right, as consistent, one of the most consistent programs, right? Well coached programs. They know who they are, they know their system, they know how they play, and then they show up and it's like, hey, you got to take it from us, you got to beat us. So does Katie Freeman have enough to top off Lumberton? And then I'm excited about this one. Brownwood and Ben Brook, say that fast. Going to be an interesting matchup here. So look forward to all three of these, and we'll transition over to the 4A boys now, Coach. Or 5A girls, I should say.
5A girls.
I'm all over the place.
So
5A
5A girls. Yeah, so 5A girls. These are kind of like my three, I think, key games for the area round. We have Birdville going against a really good Burleson Centennial team. I think that's going to be. I think that's, like I said, very interesting matchup. You got two solid programs. They're going to go toe to toe, and I can see this game going to penalty kicks because that's just the amount of talent each team has. I think it's going to go kind of tick for tack. And then the second game, team that really kind of keep an eye on is El Paso del Valle. Like I said, I think they're on the rise. They're peaking at the right time, but they got a tough test. They got a really good Wichita Falls Memorial team that's kind of been under the radar. Really good record this year. I think that game's being played in Midland. So that's one if you're in the Midland area, definitely check that one out. And then
that one is being played tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So a little early Monday game. So check it out. And then here in Region 4, Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff, and McAllen. You got two kind of South Texas, coastal Bend, Rio Grande Valley behemoths going at it here, and Flower Buff, district champs. McAllen Memorial, they were the district runner up to behind McAllen Memorial, but they got 20 wins, and this is going to be a great game between these two. It's looking forward to see who comes out of this, because like I said, in the third round, they're going to face probably more like a San Antonio or Austin area team in that regional semifinal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a Birdville squad that I'm very high on. I know they're very well coached, and Burleson Centennial has been solid. I think they kind of been knocking in and around your RPI, right? If I remember correctly. So yeah, so great, going to be a great matchup, fascinating matchup, and then this one, what could be the best matchup in this group here. So El Paso del Valle and Wichita Falls Memorial. I feel that so obviously it's being a Monday game, early Monday game, that becomes a factor to be played. This one's going to be played in Midland's Astound Stadium, if I recall correctly. But you look at the schedules, and I just feel like, hey, taking nothing away from Wichita Falls Memorial, fabulous record. They've competed well, and they've been dominant. But I feel like El Paso del Valle they have a well-rounded schedule. They've seen a good amount of 6As, and they've played some tough programs, some tough teams. So will that translate here in the area around as they look to face Wichita Falls Memorial? That is the question, right? Will all of that early season work in a district that they largely dominated as well? All right, will that pay off? Will that show now here in the area around versus Wichita Falls Memorial? And then Corpus Christi, I think, interesting matchup here in terms of styles, right? Flower Bluff and McAllen. McAllen kind of taking a little bit more of a non-traditional backseat this year to McAllen Memorial. So Mac High, what will transpire there? Looking forward to that. And we move on to our third and final list here for the girls, 6A girls. Coach, take it away.
So another set of three quality pound for pound. I'm going to call these pound for pound games because you got Ridgepoint versus Atascocita. That's gonna be a great game. They're
Atascosa, sir. That is Atascosa.
Yeah. So they're gonna like I said, they're gonna tear it up. Like I said, Ridgepoint. They've been like I said, year in year out. They've gone deep. They've gone to state a few times. But Atascocita, they're trying to make that turn now. They're trying to kind of really start to establish themselves there in Region 3. And now here's an opportunity for them to kind of get a signature win and go on, try to go into the next round. And then the second game, another one in Region 3, Houston Stratford, the run they made last year against a very good Katie Jordan team. So this game right here could determine who maybe ends up winning the Region 3. So we'll see. Can Katie Jordan, go toe to toe with Stratford after, especially with the history of Stratford's had. And then the last one, I think this game's kind of falling on the radar here in Region 4, but this is going to be a great one. Vandergrift versus San Antonio Clark. Clark's had an excellent season. They made us, winning the district. Great win in the first round. Now they face a really good Vandergrift team, who's actually one of the favorites, going into the playoffs. Like I said, whoever wins this game could, determine who also goes on wins Region 4 for Division 2.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating matchup here. You talk about Ridgepoint, right, who's just been a program that we're accustomed to seeing here, right, going 4 or 5 rounds deep, all right, knocking on the door, regional finals, state semifinals, making a state final versus Atascocita. Does Atascocita have enough can they get past this? So interesting how all of these matchups here, they present the potential, hey, if you can get past this here, you could be lining up for a run, right? So Stratford, same thing, just like Ridgepoint, right? And then Katie Jordan squad coming of age. Can they make that leap? Can they make that jump and topple Stratford, who, again, their players, the experience, the pedigree, they're used to, again, 4 or 5 rounds, 6 rounds deep. They're in the state final, I think, last year. Mm-hmm. So, so what transpires there. And then, of course, one that for multiple reasons, right? I'm very intrigued to watch very closely as well. But yeah, Vandegrift and taking on in honor of my buddy Coach Martinez, San Antonio / Northside Clark. We'll call him everything. But yeah, San Antonio Clark, right? A very very good squad that has come of age, and a Vandergrift squad that nobody is surprised to see as a strong favorite in Region 4 Division 2. So two really good, well-coached squads. Excited to see how that one transpires, and I think that one is going to be played. Was it Seguin or where was it? I can't
I
remember.
believe, I
Where was
think
it?
they haven't. I think that hasn't been posted yet.
Was it not
I
posted? Yeah, I
believe.
was trying to recall. Now that I think about it, I might be mixing up my matches here, but yeah, I was trying to recall where that one would be playing at. So if you know, please in the chat, go ahead chime in here as well. So three fascinating matchups here. These are good ones, man. But yeah, that Vandergrift San Antonio Clark one. All right, don't sleep on that match. That's a great matchup. Definitely, all three of these worth the price of admission. But the Vandergrift San Antonio Clark one has a chance to be exceptionally special. So. All right, we're going to transition over to now the boys' side. We're going to start with the 4A boys. Coach, take it away.
So another three great matchups coming up. We have San Angelo Lakeview versus Decatur. I think Lakeview, I know last year kind of disappointed, kind of got knocked off in the first round. They've had another great season this year. They got a good win over a really good sneaky El Paso Austin team. And now they're going to run into Decatur, who right now having an excellent season. Right now at 15-1-2, and it's gonna be a fun one to this one is gonna be a fun one to watch. I believe this one's I think is gonna be played in Abilene, so really can determine a lot of things. This a win like this, here in this between two kind of powerhouses is gonna could lead on to better things going on to the next round. So that's a really good matchup there in Region 1, and then you have another regional matchup between El Paso Bowie, which I think people really need to take a notice on them. I think they have a shot at going far, but they got a really tough opponent with Pampa with the Harvesters, and I know Kevin mentioned about them to keep an eye on Pampa, and I think other people have mentioned. I think during bracketology to keep an eye on this squad. So we'll see how Pampa matches up with a very talented Bowie team, and then the third one, Huffman Hargrave, big win over like I said Vider. Now they have another heavyweight with Navasota. Like I said, Navasota, a couple years ago they had that run to the state finals. This could be a key. This is a key game here for Region 3. Whoever wins this game could kind of flex their muscle and end up trying to win in the region as well. So three quality matchups here in the 4A boys division.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you look at these two. I know both you and Steve were heavy. You guys were strong on this Decatur squad. So, can San Angelo Lakeview, right? Can they challenge? Can they contend uh, with a strong Decatur squad that has a lot of weapons? And rightfully so. Lakeview has some of their own. Bowie, this one has a. I don't know what quite to make of this matchup here in El Paso, Bowie, and Pampa. Underrated Pampa squad. I think a squad that a lot of people have been telling us about, right, to keep your eye on. And I know what Bowie's been doing all year out of 1-4A. So, yeah, that has a potential to be. We talk about on the 4A side across the state. That has the potential to maybe be all right, the best area round matchup across the state. And that's saying something, right? And then you got Huffman Hargrave and Navasota, a Navasota squad that I think is not being talked about enough. All right, and a Huffman Hargrave squad that we know exactly what we're going to get from. So yeah, all three great matchups. So good coverage on these, Coach. All right, we move on to the 5A boys.
So here another three quality games. I know there's some couple other ones, but these are the three I picked. You got defending state champion Walnut Grove versus a team that we've been hearing about. We heard from the coach from Emerson. Keep an eye on this Frisco Heritage team. Could they shock the world here and knock off Walnut Grove? Walnut Grove just kind of got by in that first game. I know they've been, taking care of business in their district play. First game, got a close win, but now they're running into a really good Frisco Heritage team that could, maybe shock the world here and knock them off and make a run. I know we talk about a lot about Wakeland, but maybe we would have another Frisco team with Heritage making that run this year. And then the second game, we have an emerging El Paso Americas team versus Lubbock Monterey. And I know Lubbock Monterey had a good run last year. I think this is a very interesting matchup there in West Texas. Um, I think this has a lot at stake. Some momentum going into to that regional semifinal game. But like I said, America's really trying to make us get another win and maybe throw a monkey wrench into that regional semifinal, midfinal, and maybe in the win of the region. And then the down in the valley, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. La Jolla Palmview versus Brownsville Rivera. Palmview's had an excellent season. They won district, pretty much took it away from La Juarez Lincoln. Great quality to win in the first round. But you also have, like I said, Brownsville Rivera has had the pedigree. They got the state championships. Like I said, year in, year out, we always talk about them being one of the favorites, besides, like besides Lopez, or like I said, the shocker was I would have put in was the one Porter loss. But like I said, I think whoever wins this game could really, especially in the Region 4 D1. I know we talked about Southwest. I know they have a tough matchup with Glenn, but these are two programs that they could possibly face in the regional semifinal or in the semifinal round. And I think that, like I said, that's something to contend. That could be a legitimate contender to get out of the region.
Yeah, Walnut Grove on an absolute mission, right? Will they go wire to wire in terms of RPI as the number one? Extremely dominant all year so far. What are they up to now? I think 25-0. I think 20, 24, 26 and 0.
Yeah, 26 and 0.
So yeah, and so wishing Frisco Heritage the best of luck in that one. So against a very determined, very focused squad that is functioning on all cylinders. And then so El Paso Americas, right, looking to return to show that last year by no means was any fluke, making a run to the state semifinal against a Lubbock Monterey squad that I think matches up much better than I think people realize versus El Paso Americas. So yeah, and the other thing too with these, when they take place, and now was this this wasn't our Artesia, Copa Artesia, was it? I'm trying to recall.
No, I don't think. I think it might be in Midland, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, these games are kind of going on. They're like early afternoon games, right? So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So those, in terms of that internal kind of routine clock, let alone playing in the heat, right? It can kind of mess with you a little bit. So who adjusts to that quicker, right? Are they used to it to a certain extent? Sure, right? But it's still these first couple of rounds, right? These matchups, they're always a little tricky, right? After about a round or two, they kind of get settled in and they're okay. So, and then, yeah, La Jolla Palmview, Brownsville Rivera. It wouldn't be a Rafa special without a mention of some Brownsville squad, right? So, but yeah, you're right. I think this is going to be a great match to watch. Looking forward to all three of these, and follow up from what we were talking about earlier, that girls 6A Division II matchup between Austin Vandegrift and San Antonio Clark. That is slated for 7 p.m. at Seguin High School, Seguin Stadium, Matador Stadium, I believe that is. So yeah, interesting here. And we move on now to our final list here in our 6A boys, Coach.
So 6A boys here, like I said, I think these are the three key games here. I know there's some other ones, but I think these are kind of like pound for pound. You have Allen versus a rising Arlington Sam Houston team that I've kind of been high on, and I think, like I said, I haven't mentioned them being a dark horse, and I know Arlington Sam Houston had to come from behind and beat a really good Irving team, and like I said, it took a lot of grit for them, and now they're going to go against a perennial power. But if they can get a win against Allen, what a statement they can make out of this, and motivate them to go even further. And in the privacy, so they might be able to go deep and maybe get to that regional final. And then in East Texas, there in the Houston area, you got Fort Bend Clements, who also have had also in the pound for pound rankings, playing against a very good Summer Creek team. I think out of the winner of that game could be a good challenger for Region 3. And then probably I think this is probably the motherload of games for 6A around area round games. You got Louisville Marcus versus Dallas Jesuit. I mean, what else? I mean, this is a regional final game. I mean, but you're getting in round two, and it's going to be a good one. Now, can Dallas Jesuit? They've had an excellent season. They've had some deep runs. Can they knock off one of the mainstays there in that area, and then go on to go deeper into into the playoffs and represent region 1.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ellen, Arlington, Sam Houston, good matchup, right? We talked about that already. We hit on that a good bit actually during bracketology. So Clements is a Clements squad that you've been big on, right? Fort Bend Clements. I like Summer Creek here. I think Summer Creek is just, I think probably maybe a little too much here, but I don't know. We'll see. I've been wrong here before. These are some great matchups. And then, we've talked about it, right? Jesuit has looked exceptionally strong this year, kind of looking like, hey, they're very consistent program, right? But very well coached program, lots of talent, but they've looked different this year, right? They've looked a little different this year. Hi, I think, what did they come in your last RPI? Were they 4?
They were in the top 5, yeah.
Top 5. Yeah, so I think maybe this could be the year, maybe, right, with Marcus. But yeah, like you said, you're talking two behemoths here, so, and it's going to take a lot, right? It's maybe even a little bit of luck there to topple Marcus. But yeah, it's 3 absolutely great matchups. Yeah, man, that's great. That's exceptional stuff. So we are going to transition here. We got one more piece of information that we got to get to, right? Our last piece, which is going to be our underrated list special edition. We call it the underrated. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and tell you about our proud partners. A little bit brag on our partners, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick word from our partners. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move I've got your 6 approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then you need to visit Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no-pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, as well as at 737-210-5812. And then there are our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches and ADs and use Gipper to create high-quality, visual branded graphics for your program. The best part, anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant experience in this process, then this is designed for you as well, as you are what they call the power user. Listeners of the 50/50 podcast can now receive 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. All right, and we are back. We are back with episode 9, season 6 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Rafa, we've got the underrateds. You ready?
Ready.
Last piece. Thank you to everybody that's listening to us tonight. Everybody that's chimed in our chat. Got over about 350 strong across all platforms that are listening to us right now. So thank you for being here. And all right, here we go. The unveiling of our underrated here. So gonna break these down. And all right, and what these are regardless of classification. Rafa just going across, picking who he feels first on the girl side, then followed on the boy side, who he feels are maybe either being slept on, have been a significant surprise, or just not getting enough of the talk, enough of the love that they've earned up to this point. Coach.
So this is the 3 I picked for the girls. Like I said, I have Borger, Ladybug. What can I say about them? Like I said, they won, surprised everybody by winning the district, over, West Plains, and also Ken Randall, who's the former defending state champion. Borger got a win in the playoffs. Clear opportunity here for them, and I think they have a good shot. They're playing great at the right time, and we'll see. We end up seeing them possibly maybe in Georgetown. So keep an eye on them. Another team that's I think is really falling on the radar, even though they in the past they've had some success, especially in the region in that region they're in, because I know A&M Consolidated gets a lot, and there might be in a collision course with them. Is this Pflugerville Hendrickson team, the Lady Hawks? Like I said, I think they may be the one that could knock them off, and they're playing great soccer right now as well. And then a team that I think we kind of mentioned earlier is the Mansfield Lake Ridge team. I know Midland Legacy is going up against them. But like I said, that Lake Ridge has got
Yeah.
a good squad,
I don't know if
and
I don't know if Coach Ruiz will appreciate that one, but yeah, man. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But if because they like I said, Lake Ridge has been on the radar because a lot of the teams in that Dallas area, we talk about the Prospers, the Hank Browns, the Marcus, Salt Lake Heroes, but Lake Ridge has really kind of built something there, and I think they're a team to kind of keep an eye on. Like I said, they got a tough matchup against Midland Legacy, so no gimmies there. But if they do get a win, I think that they can be a very dangerous team going into the next couple rounds.
Right. Yeah. I think I mean Borger's they're turning into a fascinating story, right? As each round goes by, what they've done in district play, playing in that same district, right? Don't forget with defending state champion in or recently, formerly defending state champion that was just unfortunately just recently eliminated in Canyon Randall, as well as West Plains. So them winning that district says a lot, right? And Pflugerville Hendrickson here on the girls' side, showing kind of returning to old glory where I think, what did we say? They're probably about 8 years, maybe 9 years removed from their last state title. So, and they won their district right over a very, very well coached, very good Georgetown program, right? So, which I think took a lot of people by surprise. So kudos to them as they look to line up to make a deep run here in the state playoffs. And then Mansfield Lake Ridge, who we just talked about, right? Talked about pretty good in terms when we had Coach Ruiz on from Midland Legacy. So yeah, I think they go into it. Same thing with Midland Legacy. What I talked about earlier, right? It's no pressure, right? Kind of house money, building that experience, and Coach Ruiz has them now. Are they going to come to play? Are they? It's not going to be that they're just happy to be there versus Mansfield Lake Ridge, but. Yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup to see how that unfolds. But Mansfield Lake Ridge has to be prepared for that. Is a Midland Legacy squad that has been battle tested as well over the course of this year. So they're going to come to play. Should be a great matchup. All right, that does it for the girls underrated list, and we cover our last list here in the boys underrated. Coach.
So these are the three teams I picked. First one I have Marble Falls. Um, they had a big win versus Austin LBJ. Really keep an eye on them there for 4A, especially here in Region 4. They haven't lost a game in a while. They're just rolling and rolling, and they're becoming a very dangerous team. And I think they create a lot of matchup problems. And I'm sure, like I said, when they face maybe a couple of those favored Valley teams areas, when they face them, they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna have their hands full with them. And then another team from the, like I said, now speaking of the Valley, a team that got a big win, who we picked that was gonna go deep, very deep in the bracketology, and I don't know, and it broke up mine and Steve's bracket. It was Sherland Pioneer. Pioneer shared the district title with Sherryland. Going into the game against Portal, we thought, maybe this would kind of be the end of the road, but maybe was this like maybe I'm saying it was a fluke season, but maybe like it's okay. Well, it's a good season for them. Do they have enough against a really talented Porter team? Because who I did see a couple times play, but they found a way. They got a 1-0 win, and now they put a lot of people on notice and said that they're for real. And like I said, they want to probably want some more. Uh, no, Jay. Well, no, not. We'll see. We'll see about that, Harry.
Yeah, Harry's loving your J picks here, Coach. So, of course, yeah, he's not biased. He's not biased.
Harry can I can tell. Hey, pull on the bulletin board there. They're at Jay.
Here we go again. Let
there.
the bulletin board go, man. Let it go.
There.
Let it go. So there.
And
Harry. Thanks, Harry. Appreciate you.
And then the third one, they got a great win because over Rockwell Heath, Wiley. I think they can be a team, and I know we talked to their coach last week about the really about the Wiley team, real sneaky team, and they got, like I said, they got to win at Rockwell Heath, and now they could be one to really keep an eye on, or make a deep run too as well.
Yeah, yeah. These are some great picks. Marble Falls, I feel like, yeah, definitely. I was like, man, where did these guys come from, right? But yeah, I mean, Pioneer. I kind of try to bang the drum for them, right? And told you guys I felt you guys were busting out the Boys to Men song way too early on this Pioneer squad, right? So, yeah, and then Wiley, same thing with Wiley. So. Great list as always, Coach. Really appreciate you. So, any follow ups? Any others? Any honorable mentions? Anyone else to add?
There's a couple of them.
You're the king of the honorable mentions. I know you love to see.
Kind of, under the radar. I'm trying to think top of my head. I think the girls' side, keep an eye on the Lavernia girls.
Okay.
I know. Last year they had a tough loss against Davenport, but I think they're in the collision course again. And seeing what I saw, like I said, I got the pleasure of seeing the Lavernia girls play. I think they're a lot better, and I think if they face them again, I think it'll be a lot closer result, and I think it could go either way. So just keep an eye on them. I think they make, if they can get, I know they have I think they got a winnable game coming up in the second round, but that's a game that really kind of keep a team to really keep an eye on for Region 4 for 4A girls.
Yeah, well said. A little bit of breaking news here on the side, I guess, while we were on the air within like the last 45 minutes. Your boy Rafa Antoine Griezmann, it's being finalized, going to Orlando City. Did you see that?
Well, I guess because he lost today, so we sent him packing. So
it's like, I'm out of here. Yeah,
well,
so that's why I snuck that one in there, right? I just saw that broke within the last 45 minutes, right? So my boy Fabrizio Romano broke that one, so shocker. So yeah, man. So interesting stuff. That is as we start to wrap up here for episode 9. A lot of great info. Big thank yous to both of our guests and Coach Carlos Ruiz of Midland Legacy, as well as Coach Aaron Wessner, who's making his third or fourth showing on the podcast. That always brings great info. Head men's soccer coach of the Frisco Emerson Mavericks, as they got their first ever qualification for the state playoffs, and then their first playoff victory. So making all kinds of history there. Proud of them, excited for them. Coach, it is about that time, stoppage time. So where we do bust out all the last of the material, information, any plugs, anything you got, anything that's on your mind as it relates to the game, anything that stood out to you during the playoffs. Yeah, I know you got to see an interesting set of playoff games on Friday too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
hey, so every time I go to a playoff game, every time I go to someone's playoff game, they're right now they're 3-0. So,
yeah.
So
all right, Coach, go ahead.
I have that little good luck, but like I said, I got to see a couple playoff games here. Hopefully, I get to see a couple other ones, like I said. But congrats to all the teams that won the first round. Hopefully, like I said, good luck to them that go in the second round. Hopefully, everyone has safe trips as well. But the teams who were eliminated, don't get your head down. It takes a lot to get to this point, and that's something to work for. It was something to put on the bulletin board. What can we do better for next year? Can we exceed it? Can we win our first ever playoff game or beyond? So it's no shame on that. And but also I want to thank everyone out there, like I said, with all the comments, the messages and comments and stuff about our coverage and so forth. Shout out to them, like with you guys, guys to support and all that. Well, we can't do this. Like I said, we don't wait till the 5 weeks of playoffs to cover this. We do this from the beginning of the whistle to the end, all full 90 minutes and stuff. So that's how we are, and and we're excited to cover this for you guys, and because it's well needed and well deserved. And just like I said, just looking forward for these games on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. And then also the upcoming games for the regional semifinals. I think there'll be some interesting matchups going into that third round game.
Yeah, well said. I mean, excuse me. I think you took definitely took a percentage of kind of my takeaway, right, of what I was going to share in terms of. Well, I guess before I get to that, I guess I want to try something here. If you're listening here tonight or you listen to this later, tag us on pictures on social media. If you have an actual bulletin board in your locker room, right, in your coach's office, coaches, if you're listening, an actual bulletin board, you guys know what that is, not a dry erase board, right? There's a difference. But yeah, I would love to see how many schools, how many programs actually have one, and then how many even realize that they have one and they just walk right by it every day, right? So, so yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, I think just as you said, really, I kind of couple of things I kind of wanted share. Had a great Friday night with my community. First chance to coach a playoff game in my new role at Canyon, and we were lucky enough to emerge victorious. And but it was just a great environment. I loved it. I mean, it was just a raucous crowd, as Rafa got to experience. Saw it for himself. It was a doubleheader along with Del Rio boys facing the Clemens boys. Shirts Clemens boys, but yeah, I think just once the ball got rolling, you looked past how hot it was, you looked past everything, and I just was very proud of my girls, but very proud of just to be on that stage in that moment as a Texas high school soccer coach, and just all of it was, I think, was special. And I always I never take it for granted, and I always remember as I try to preach to my girls that we get to do it right now. We don't have to. And never taking it for granted. So grateful for that, and again grateful to the soccer gods for allowing us to be victorious, and my girls for taking care of business. Really, really proud of them, and just proud of our community, proud of our parents, family, supporters, everybody that traveled out there to Medina Valley Panther Stadium. Yeah, just a great. And then of course Medina Valley High School, that staff out there, they took care of us really well. So thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, being able to share the field of competition with Coach Rivas and his Del Rio girls. Thank you, Coach. Really appreciate you. And, yeah, I mean, just enjoy it, man. Be in the moment. Cherish every moment. If your season ended this past weekend, whether it be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, that's an opportunity. Learn from it. It's an opportunity to grow for those seniors, right? Because at some point, in the end, there's going to only be 12 teams who this is a good outcome for, right? In terms of being victorious on the final day of the season. So who you become along the way, all the memories that because very rarely do people remember the final scores of games, but they always remember the memories, right? They remember the bus rides. They remember all the stuff that they did with their teammates. They remember the moments with the coaches. They remember those things, right? So regardless, I'm excited to see it continue to unfold into just a great environment, a great setting that is the Texas high school soccer state playoffs, the real March Madness as we dub it here. But yeah, just enjoy it wherever you are. If your season ended, of course, unfortunate. Yes, I get it. I know. And if you're a senior, that's your last hurrah with your teammates, right? That you'll never get to play with again. But you've made so many great memories, and you're so much more than just a recent unfortunate result, right? Same thing for the coaches. And then if you're still playing, right, it's just take advantage of it, right? As each round progresses, you cut the field in half. So there's just less and less and less teams still playing, still practicing. So enjoy it every day. That's really all I have. So yeah, appreciate it, Rafa. Any final reattacks, thoughts, anything?
All I got to say if Harry's watching out there, a la Madrid and nada más.
Yeah, I know. On that note, all right, we are going to do it. We are going to get out of here. But again, follow us on Twitter, X, Twix, at 50_50pod, on Instagram, at 50_50podcast, as well as on YouTube, at the 50_50 podcast. For Mr. Papa Socceritis, Rafa Casorena, I am your host, Coach Hector Cano. Thank you for being with us here tonight. Best of luck to all of our continued programs across the state that are still in the tournament. Wishing you guys the absolute best. And until the next time, you know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.